What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. On today's episode, we're going to break down the statistics between the Chicago Bears and the New York Giants. They're very similar teams on paper. We're going to talk about that. Where can the Bears take advantage of some spots on the New York Giants? And then where do the Bears not want to get taken advantage of? We're also going to talk about key players to look out for on the New York Giants to have big games against the Bears, and hopefully we can avoid those things. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans. So we face the New York Giants this upcoming week. And so we have I don't want to say a big test. We have some things that we know we need to work on. We want to see some improvement from the offensive side of the ball, which we talked about on last night's live stream. So make sure you guys have checked that out. If you're on the podcast side, this episode may be out before I get the audio of that live stream up. We'll be on the lookout for that nonetheless. I want to talk about how the Bears and the Giants stack up statistically and where they're similar at. They're not that far off in a lot of areas. They're off on some. First up, we're going to talk about the scoring offense. So the Bears right now rank 20th in the NFL in scoring offense at 17.3 points per game. The New York Giants aren't much better. They're at 18th with 18.7 points per game. So a little over a point extra per game than the Chicago Bears. So this could be a low-scoring game from both teams that kind of drags out. Hopefully, we'll see. Talk about the third down conversion rate, which I think is where the Bears could take advantage of some things. The passing offense, very similar teams again. The Bears are dead last in the NFL at 78.3 passing yards per game. Now, why the New York Giants are only 2 spots above them, it's a considerable difference between those 2 spots. The New York Giants come in at almost 100 more yards than the Chicago Bears with the passing offense. They average 162.3 yards passing. So while their passing game is still lower in the league, it's still considerably better than what the Chicago Bears have averaged up until this point of the season. Now, hopefully, we can see that turn around for the Chicago Bears. But as of right now, this is not a game to expect having big games in the air. But yeah, you never know with teams who may show up. The rushing offense, teams very similar as well with this. The Bears are second in the NFL in rushing offense, averaging 186 yards per game. The Giants are fourth, averaging 169 yards per game on their end. So, may have mixed that up. The Bears average 186 yards. I don't know if I said that backwards. Don't remember. It's been a long week. Nonetheless, so very similar teams where it stacks up with their rushing games. The rushing games are very much ahead of their passing games on both teams. So this is going to be a game where the Chicago Bears and that rushing defense is going to have to play their butts off, period. They're going to have to keep the Giants from having a big night on the ground rushing. So that's where everything stacks up there as far as the comparison. So with that being said, we want to keep the Bears from having a big game running the ball, because if we can do those things, it can definitely help us a lot when it comes to how these games and how these teams stack up. First downs, though, the Bears are dead last in the NFL with only 30. They're 32nd with 43 first downs per game so far. With the New York Giants with 59 first downs per game, they're 17th. So only 16 more per game, but that has them considerably higher in the rankings than the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are going to have to get as many threes out. This is a game where the defense, not that it hasn't already, is going to be hugely important for this game, not only to keep them from scoring, to mitigate that run, and also to get our offense better field position where we may not need as many first downs. That's really the way the key to success for the Chicago Bears, because we have not moved the ball very efficiently. We have not handled third down conversions very, very well so far in this team. Some have issues with the play calling on third down. Some don't. It is what it is there. Now, let's get into the penalties, where the Bears can definitely take advantage. The Bears are 10th in the NFL with only 35 penalty yards per game. The Giants are 21st with 54 penalty yards per game. So we definitely want to see a huge improvement or take advantage of that ability. They're not as disciplined a team as we are. So if we can still and stay that disciplined team, not have as many issues as we had in the latter half against the Houston Texans, we can take advantage of that. Again, field position, things like that can help us maybe even get more first downs. So we have to continue to be that disciplined team that we've shown so far in this season. And if we can do that, that very well help the Chicago Bears have victory against the New York Giants. Now, the turnover margin, very close here as well. The Bears are 11th with turnover margin with a +1 turnover margin. The Giants are tied for 13th with a 0 turnover margin. So we're but slightly better than them in that regard. But outside of Justin Fields' 3 interceptions, we've pretty much are 5 interceptions on the year, maybe more than that. we've pretty much taken care of the ball for the most part well. Now, here's where things get tricky for both teams. Now, the Bears are 27th in sacks allowed per game. This season we've allowed 10 sacks this season. The Giants are 30th with 13 sacks allowed. We know what we have with a pass rush when we play good. Dominique Robinson, Travis Gibson, Al-Qadim Muhammad's kind of so-so. With Robert Quinn's facing a lot of coverages. He's been held a lot. He hasn't gotten the calls that he's deserved so far. But with that being said, can this Bears offense keep Justin Fields off his back and not get sacked while the defense can take advantage and sack the other quarterback? If they can do those things, but hey, be on the lookout for this. All I'm saying with this is that this could be a game where it gets ugly quick for Justin Fields. We're not even going to diagnose who's more at fault. We're going to stop finger pointing with that one. But hopefully we can take advantage and get more sacks, whereas we can not allow the Giants to do those type of things. We'll see. So yeah, hopefully. Scoring defense, the Bears are 11th. The Giants are 12th. The Bears have 19 points allowed per game, whereas the Giants have allowed 19.7 points per game. So we're very similar there. This is going to be, again, like I said, a stingy defense. So we'll see what happens with that. The passing defense, the Bears are 9th with 201 yards per game allowed, whereas the Giants are 10th with 203 yards per game allowed. Now, with this being said, considering how our passing game has not come along as far as we would have hoped by now, I'm not going to say do what I said against the Texans, where I hope that the Bears could really get on track against the Houston Texans. In this case, I'm more so going to say I hope that the Bears can play and show some improvement in this game, in the passing game, and not turn the ball over. Can we? Now, I wouldn't even necessarily try anything downfield initially for the Chicago Bears. I more want to see them try to do some of the quick, safe passes to get Justin Fields, the receivers, in rhythm, and then maybe with your running game, if you've shown that your passing game is formidable, if you can take advantage of those type of things, we're going to see a lot of 8 men in the box with all defense. As long as our rushing game has been what it is and been the crutch of the Chicago Bears offense, expect them to pack the box as much as possible. And with that being said, can we take advantage once they do move 8 men to the box and keep them in there to keep Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery, whoever else from breaking off big runs against them? Can we then move to our passing game to have a bigger game passing? Can we do that? If I've said it before, our rushing game is the second in the NFL. Our passing game is dead last. If we can get up to middle of the pack in passing game, or even the 18th, 20th, in that area, we're looking at our offense being one of the better offenses in the NFL in many regards, just because of how strong our passing game is. Our running game is. If we can use our passing game to keep them honest with the rushing game, that's how we're going to find success in this league and in this season. Hopefully we can do that. I don't know how hopeful I am to that with what we've seen so far, but hope is there. So with that being said, let's look at some of the specific players that we want to make sure do not get off against the Chicago Bears. The first one, you don't want to have Daniel Jones have a big game. You just don't. You don't want to see that. Forget Daniel. You don't want to see Daniel Jones having a big game. We need to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. We need to keep our pass rush up. We need to get some QB hits, if not some sacks. We need to get a lot of pressures. If we can do that, we're going to find some success. Saquon Barkley. This is where things I'm not gonna lie that make me nervous, because if Saquon can get off and get going against this team, much like we saw Khalil Herbert doing last game, it could be an ugly and long night for the Chicago Bears defense. We need to have our rushing defense step up. We need to get some stops. I don't know what needs to happen, but we need to find a way to contain him. He has 317 yards on 53 attempts and 2 touchdowns so far this season. While that's not like earth-shattering or anything like that, you don't want to allow for him to get in rhythm and have a big game against us, because if it does happen, it can get ugly. With that said, in the passing game, Richie James, we want to keep Richie James from having a big game. Shepard, Robinson, they're injured. So with that being said, he's the person that we want to watch. Now, they're going to try to expose Kyler Gordon, as we've seen so much in this early part of the season. Can we play well enough in the passing game to, again, if we can focus, much like teams are trying to do with us, them to rely heavily on their rushing attack, and then we can play well in that rushing attack? Well, we have to keep them honest in the passing game. Can we do that? We'll see. I don't know how much hope I have with that, but on the other side, the flip side of that, their cornerback, Adoree Jackson, he cannot have a big game against us. He cannot have a big game against us. Now, he's looked great so far this season. They haven't faced the greatest quarterbacks in the world so far this season, but again, that would apply also to Justin Fields. They are just behind us as far as how many yards that they allow, 203 yards passing per game. So if we can keep and the veteran cornerback from having a big game against us and, take advantage of some things, this is going to have to be a time where we're going to have to see great route running. We're going to have to see chemistry. We're going to have to see something built upon for us to find success against these Giants. Can we do it? Can we do it? Guys, let me know what you guys think down below. But those are some of the players that I want to key in on not allowing to have big games against us when it comes to Sunday for the Chicago Bears. Hopefully those things hold true. We can only hope. But yeah, that is it for me for today. Let me know your thoughts and everything down below. Who on the Chicago Bears side do you think is going to have a big game for the Bears this upcoming Sunday? Let me know that down below. You can also let me know some players that you hope don't get off big games from the New York Giants against us this upcoming Sunday. Let me know all that down below. Make sure you're following the show at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. Chicago Bear Central. Jesus, if I can get my words right. Chicago Bear Central at gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave us a text and or voicemail, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.